Hi, Bright Lights. Welcome and thank you for being here. My name is Tina, and I wanted to come on today to talk about fighting. There's a lot of fighting going on, isn't there, in the world right now? And that's probably not really so unusual. I think if you're kind of seeing things, though, escalating, more than we have seen, in the last probably since 2020, right? Since the whole COVID thing, there's just been kind of this ongoing upheaval going on. And so, what we do here on the alignment keys is we're going to bring through some ideas and things to talk about that. I did do a channeling. I had Mother Mary coming through. And so I wanted to share a message from that beautiful lady. And then let's talk a little bit about this need to fight and this, what we can do about it. So please stay tuned and we're going to get into the nitty gritty of it. So, like I said, Mother Mary came to me as I do my meditation sometimes when I'm exercising. And that happened to be the other morning when I was doing my morning workout. And this is what came through. And I have some notes over here that I want to read to you. And this is from Mother Mary as she came to me. This is a time of great change, and it is important to keep things into perspective. Although there are many systems around the world that are currently in upheaval, it does not mean the worst. Whenever change presents itself, it will always feel heavy because it requires much energy to bring forward the new. And this can be a scary time because you feel like you don't know where it is headed. I know this may not be what many want, but if you want a beautiful world, sometimes there needs to be a restructuring. Like remodeling an old house, you will go through a demolishing phase and then you will rebuild it into something more into alignment with you and the energy. This is a perfect time to focus on what you can control and who you can support, including yourself. There are always things happening on your planet that could be considered incredibly negative. But there are also things happening on your planet that could be considered incredibly positive. So instead of feeling like, why is this happening? Think of it as your turn to be challenged by the universe to see what you are going to create in this energy. Bless you and know all is well. So I wanted to then jump to the definition of the word fight. Fight is to take part in a violent struggle involving the exchange of physical blows or the use of weapons or a violent confrontation or struggle. To attempt to defend oneself against or defeat an adversary. So, if you want to bring forward the light, to bring forward peace and harmony, you can't do it by engaging in the fight. The fight just creates more to fight against. We have to change how we approach things. The more you fight against something, the greater the fight becomes. And then it continues to grow until it bursts into surrender at some point. So now we're kind of seeing in politics, both sides use the slogans with these words fight in them. And that's just an example of one of the many structures that are using this us against them mentality. This is old energy and it isn't conducive to creating harmony. We fight against the war against drugs. War is even a bigger word, a bigger force word than fight is. So, how is that going? We fight against cancer. How is that going? You hear the struggle against poverty, still using struggle. Um, and so it was Marianne Williamson. She's been one of our first, leaders. She ran for president, and she has more of a spiritual background. But there was something that she brought forward, and I'm not sure that this came directly from her, but she had made a statement on how if she were to be elected, that she would change the Department of Defense and call it the Department of Peace. But there are those who want to hang on to that old energy, and that is the narcissistic side of the ego, because the ego is scared. It's scared about moving into this more conscious way of being, because then the ego feels like it will be annihilated, like it won't have a job to do. So, what can we do to stop all of this fighting? So, the first thing that you can do is to accept the fact of where you are is exactly where you are supposed to be. Most fighting is done on the inside, and it's done with I'm not where I'm supposed to be. I didn't do this right. I don't have enough money. I'm not popular enough. All of these kind of self judgments, or how come he has this and I don't have this? So, the path to alignment is really about, you know, finding this balance inside, the fact that you are just where you're supposed to be right now. This is where you're who you're supposed to be with. This is how you're supposed to look. Everything is fine just as it is right now. This is your starting point. Then once you can surrender into that, once you can kind of go into that deeper side in here, to start looking at all of these self judgments, you can go a step further and start to really pay attention to what it is you're fighting against. And you need to become aware of this because, there's a lot of protests going on, and I'm kind of on the fence there because I don't have any qualms about going and taking a stand for something that's of higher consciousness. And I will always, always walk for peace, walk for, you know, better laws to help people, but I will not walk for protesting, for digging my heels in, for saying somebody else is wrong, because that is the energy that is creating this push and pull effect we've got going on right now. So it's really about this. I'm going to prove you wrong, and this guy's going to prove he's right. It's a lot of this battle. And it doesn't mean you could very well be right. That's not what this is about. This is all of this drama, it's this very rebellious energy, and we want to channel this energy in a very high consciousness way. So, you're not going to probably like what I have to say next. So I'm going to talk about turning down the drama, turning off the drama. So where is that coming from? The media, your coworkers, your friends, your partner. Where is all of this he said, she said, fighting, um, this person is so demonized, yet you're putting this person on a pedestal, and nobody is all bad and nobody is all good. And yes, are there very narcissistic people in our governmental structure? Yes, they are, but they are not 100% in there. There is still the balance is still there. It may feel like it's very much out of balance, but there may be more going on there than all of us are seeing. So we still have to trust in the universe. And so, again, just by starting to turn off some of the drama, so you're not constantly feeding on this sense of unfairness, the sense of, oh my gosh, look at what they did now. So, what you can do, you can still support your causes, support what you believe in. You just want to detach from this thing that is so heavy that it feels like you are like the world is falling apart. So you want to keep things in perspective. You want to give support, but there's a step back that you need to do where you need to detach from it, from this sense of despair and this sense of total injustice and unfairness, because there's always going to be unfairness in the world. Just because it's ratcheted up in your arena doesn't mean that it hasn't been going on in a lot of people's arenas. So this is again higher consciousness thinking. So these are a lot of distractions that tie you up in the mind, and that's to keep you from awakening. So that's all part of this. And it doesn't mean that you don't want a better world, that that's being selfish. No, you don't have anything to give if you are in such a place of despair and anguish and fear. That isn't going to solve any problems, because that's not where the answers lie. That's the problem itself. That's not where the solution lies. The solution is a different energy. And that's why we're not seeing it, is because everyone's in the problem energy. So we want to jump from the problem to the solution. So how do we do that? So all healing, no matter what is going on, happens with awareness, with consciousness. So start by inviting presence into your life, even in the most mundane of things that you do. Invited it in. And that means no matter what you're doing, no, if you're scrubbing your floor at home, you can have presence while you are doing that. You don't need to be lost in this mind, generating the same problem, the same thoughts out to the universe. It's taking your presence back 1 hour at a time, or 1 minute at a time throughout the day. And yes, there are times I even still get lost in my thought processes. And sometimes I don't remember, oh, here I went to do a walking meditation and I walked down the road and I was in my head. And then I'm like, okay, deep breaths, get back in, start looking at, identifying the trees, start looking at things to bring that presence back into your body. And you'll be surprised at how much you keep inviting the presence in, how this starts to quiet down. It doesn't mean you have to sit around and meditate for hours at a time, although that can work as well. You can do things and meditate. Mother Mary came to me while I was exercising, because when I exercise, I do focus on presence. I do make that part of my routine so that I can connect with a higher energy. So, what are some other things we can do? Um, so, outcomes too are a big thing. So, you could have had, really wanted somebody to win the Super Bowl, or somebody obviously to win for president, or, all kinds of different things. And so we get attached to outcomes, and that causes a lot of suffering. It causes a lot of disappointment, a lot of letdowns, and that's part of life. But what you want to do with that is you want to grieve what you thought would be. And if that means even writing it down or sharing that with somebody, but not in a super negative way, just allowing yourself to grieve it so that you can transmute it and then let it go. Because whenever we get attached to the outcome of any situation, we are bringing in this possibility for deep disappointment. So again, it's all part of this detachment. Another thing you can do is, like I said, write it down, have a ceremony about letting it go. And that's, one of the other things that I wanted to talk about, is because that's going to be the whole theme of this particular video. And that is the song Let It Be by the Beatles. And that I'm going to, because that's where Mother Mary came to me. Um, And I want to read to you some of the lyrics in this song, because really showcases what I'm trying to say here with this stop the fighting madness. And I will put the lyrics in the description box below, but I'm going to read you a few paragraphs out of these lyrics to highlight what I am talking about. So, when I find myself in times of trouble, Mother Mary comes to me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. And in my hour of darkness, she is standing right in front of me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. And when the broken-hearted people living in the world agree, there will be an answer, let it be. For though they may be parted, there is still a chance that they will see. There will be an answer, let it be. And when the night is cloudy, there is still a light that shines on me. Shine until tomorrow, let it be. And that's the message. And this is all about where I talk about grounding your light, that's bringing in presence, that is looking up from the drama and doing your part, because this is where we're being asked to do our part here. And that's not being part of the problem. It's starting to change the energy so that we can allow the solutions to come in because they're not here yet. The rebuilding isn't here yet because we're still in this problem phase. So I want to leave you with that. I hope this made sense to you. And thank you for being here. I really appreciate all your support and all of the kind words that I have received. And I will see you in the next video.